Hello and welcome to Theme Park Information. In today's show we're doing an in-depth review for Cedar, which is a theme park I've been waiting to go to for a very long time, and I finally got the opportunity to go this year. Now, it was a park that I had really high expectations for, and thankfully it met those with flying colours. So let's have a quick little review and look of what I didn't really appreciate and what they needed to improve first, and then going on to the good stuff and the roller coasters and such. So mainly the worst thing about this park is the food. That's not to say the food itself is bad. There's quite a few decent pizza places, burrito places. There's a really kind of nice milkshake and kind of ice cream place as well. They also have like a Subway and stuff like that, which is like reasonably cool. They just like kind of options and variety. For example, there's no like kind of Indian food or anything like that. There's no, other than pizza, any real Italian food or anything like that. So, not unsurprisingly, there's no food from the UK or anything like that. Fish and chips or chips in general would have been really cool. But yeah, it's something they need to work on. I mean, there's no kind of really vegetarian-friendly place or vegan-friendly place, or there's not really a huge demand for really spicy or hot food. And I just find it really strange that in a park with 3 million plus visitors each year, there aren't more food options and such. Yeah, it could have been a really, really good kind of option if they were to bring in like maybe a couple of restaurants or stuff like that with specialised in food from around the world, which you don't really get in any other park. And if they were to put those on the dining plan, that would also be absolutely amazing. I mean, it's one of the things. It's a sort of thing which can be easily rectified. So hopefully it will be done sooner or later. But it's probably the worst thing about the park. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the fast pass queuing systems. Partly because I actually find it a real rip-off with some of them, where especially when it's not busy, you will actually join the line at the same point as the normal queue. So be very careful about that if you are using your fast pass for the Millennium Force or Top Thrill Jurassic, because the queue line actually was just the same there for whether or not you had fast pass or not. It's something you might want to consider. You might want to have a quick check of the queue lines and times for the park beforehand. Obviously, I am a little bit disappointed with some of the slightly smaller roller coasters they have. I mean, the Cedar Creek Mine Coaster is particularly disappointing. I mean, it's an old ride. It is actually, as it happens, a hybrid roller coaster as well, but it's really awful. It has an awful restraint system. It has a really quite long queue. Not particularly great queue line either. It's not particularly fascinating or interesting ride. It's kind of a real non-event, unfortunately speaking. I mean, yeah, definitely something they could do with improving or removing. Also, and I can't believe I'm going to put it on the kind of bad side, but because it kind of falls into the meh side of things, I'm afraid, it's actually Valravn. I mean, it may be the newest roller coaster built at the park in 2016 by B&M, which is a really good manufacturer, but unfortunately dive coasters are very hit or miss. They, tend to be all about the first drop, and if you kind of aren't scared of that or you don't find that drop particularly scary, they lose a lot of their kind of fear factor and such, and it just becomes a really mediocre ride. I mean, the drop is incredibly forceless as well. I mean, I was expecting not a huge amount from this. I mean, Sheikra is really, really good, but on the whole, dive coasters I've been on have been slightly underwhelming. But yeah, this had no force. The vest restraint system on it kind of really kind of made you feel very secure and safe, but removed like what must have been any sort of like force you could get from that drop. I mean, it just was a really kind of disappointing ride. I thought it would be a lot better than it turned out to be. It also had a huge queue, and there were empty seats. The operations on it were particularly poor. I mean, there's a quite poor station layout as well. Most kind of rides I've been on of this type have had a station where they can load 2 trains at the same time, or unload a train and load the train at the same time, whereas this one was very poorly set out, very, very badly designed in that sense. I'm not quite sure what the thinking was for that, but it was a very disappointing ride. Probably, like considering the standard of it, probably one of the worst rides at the park. I mean, you do also have like kind of rides which aren't anywhere near as good, but they're old / like you're not really expecting that much from them if you like. So for example, Blue Street, modern roller coaster, oldest operating roller coaster at Cedar Point, not particularly tall, not particularly fast, has a few airtime hills. like very simple out and back layout. You're not expecting a world class roller coaster from it. It's a decent ride, but you're not expecting that much. So it kind of gets, if you like, not necessarily a pass, but you kind of understand why it's not that good a ride. Same with Corkscrew. Corkscrew's a really old roller coaster, and it was built by Aerodynamics, who don't have the best reputation in the industry of building quality rides, but it's all right. I mean, we were the only ones on the train when it went round, and I will be honest, considering the hate this ride gets, it was a little bit better than I thought it would be. But it wasn't world class, but they're the sort of rides where you expect them to be great, whereas Valravn you expect a lot more from. I mean, I will be honest, the other rides I was expecting a lot more from was Gemini. I mean, it's a racing hybrid roller coaster. It actually was a world record holder when it opened, admittedly almost 40 years ago. So I'm a little bit disappointed by the fact that it wasn't intense, it wasn't particularly fast, it didn't have any airtime really. It was a little bit mediocre really. I will be honest, I thought it'd be quite a decent ride, but it turned out to be pretty meh. I mean, it was the same with Iron Dragon, but once again, that it's a very similar ride in the fact that you kind of, I wasn't expecting that much for it. I mean, don't get me wrong, Vortex and the Bat, just to not make it overly confusing, because they're both the same names at those two parks at Canada's Wonderland and Kings Island from Aerodynamics. They were also really good suspended roller coaster. So this one didn't quite do as well as that, but it was actually alright. It's quite a long ride, which was really good, but generally kind of missing like a little bit of intensity and a little bit of thrilling. I mean, very picturesque the way it interacts with the kind of, I suppose the lake would be a bit of a stretch, but kind of like the water beneath it and such. After that though, we do tend to get to more kind of high quality rides which I really enjoyed. So for example, Top Thrill Drags is going to be next up. I mean, this was a world record holder when it opened in 2003. It's the only Stratocoaster I've been on. Stratocoaster being anything over 400 foot, and it's 420, so not bad going. It's got a really, really good launch. It has 6 trains running, which was excellent, really good operations. Get more into that later. But overall, the launch good, the ascent really good. The top airtime, couldn't believe it. I was actually really, really surprised by that. I didn't think you don't get any on South, so yeah, I don't think there'll be anything at the top. So I was really pleasantly surprised by that. But I'm really, really unsure about the kind of twisted drop. I think it really takes away from a lot of the ride, and then the fact that it ends pretty much after that. And I don't know, it just, the fact that it was the first ride we went on as well may have slightly ruined it for us as well. There wasn't the anticipation or the kind of build up to it that you sometimes get with major rides at a park. It was kind of very much a case of, there it is, let's go straight on that, because it has a reputation of breaking down and not working. So it was, probably an excellent decision to get on it. First thing, I mean, it was proven that it has a particularly poor track record. When on the last over there, where we're trying to go on the front row, it continually rolled back. I mean, admittedly, it was handled very professionally by the staff and was very safely operated. So I don't have any real qualms about that. But it just was a little bit of a disappointment, really. There, I mean, you would have thought it'd be easier, like a top 3 ride at the park, maybe would have flown into my top 10 list. No, probably about a 7.5 out of 10, that sort of area. I'll put it this way, I haven't gone on Rougarou, which was recently revamped of 2015 season. I mean, obviously it was originally a standard roller coaster called Mantis. I mean, well, to be honest, I actually really kind of enjoyed it. I mean, I have a bit of a soft spot for kind of, still B&M roller coasters where you just sit down. I mean, even if it's flawless or not, I mean, it was actually really decent ride, really long ride. Had intensity, had some speed, had some good inversions and such. Actually, has a really kind of short queue line as well, which was really, really cool. Managed to get on it at the front row. Overall, really, really kind of happy with it. I mean, I didn't think it'd be anywhere near as good as it was, but kind of surprised me a little bit. I mean, there's also Raptor as well. That was a very similar kind of ride. I mean, has 6 really cool inversions. It actually is in a really cool position just off the midway. And generally speaking, like another B&M roller coaster, this time the train is suspended below the track, so it's a inverted coaster, which is pretty intense. I mean, it's not the best one I've been on. I've happened to be kind of slightly spoilt and been on quite a lot of really good B&Ms, so of the same kind of type. So It's generally really good. I mean, it's been paid the ultimate compliment by the fact that there is a clone of it. So, it's a generally decent ride. I mean, we then do get to ride that. If you like kind of the ride, I was very most on the fence about. I wasn't sure if I'd really enjoy it or really hate it. And that is Magnum XL 200. Now, this is a roller coaster which was the first over 200 foot. It pretty much started the Coast Awards, which is a series of kind of challenges where parks try to build the fastest, longest, tallest, most inversions, anything they could to get an edge over the competition. It's pretty much got a lot of history, a lot of heritage to it. And actually, if it wasn't for what is effectively an absolutely abysmal lap bar, which is incredibly painful and too tight, I mean, if you were to put new trains, if you were to put B&M trains on this, you'd have an absolutely stunning ride. No doubts about it. It'd be an absolutely world-class ride because it has so much airtime. It has a good first drop. It's long. It's in a great location. It interacts with like water in terms of the beach and such. Really, really, really cool. There shouldn't be any real surprise that Gatekeeper also features highly on this list, considering it's quite a new roller coaster. It interacts with the front entrance really nicely. It has a really cool inversion as well. The highest in the world at the moment of this video being made. It's a really cool ring over drop. It was smooth. The keyhole sections are really good fun. They're the bits going over the front entrance. Has a really, really good colour scheme. It's a long ride. Has a slightly pointless elements here and there with the helix at the end and the airtime hill where you're like, well, I'm not sure what you were thinking there, guys, but overall it's actually a decent ride. It's a good ride for the park, and still very happy with ridden it, and I'd probably say it's well worth going on again. I mean, after that though, we get Wicked Twister, which is actually the surprise package. I was actually really surprised by how good this Intamin steel roller coaster was. I mean, it was opened in 2002, and it really has just really, really cool launches. I don't know where it came from. I mean, I was sitting in the front row for it because I've not really expected much. It was actually the ride I thought would be really rubbish at the park. I mean, so you could argue there's a bit of expectations kind of being really low, and then the ride itself actually turns out to be really good. But yeah, no, it's really, really good. I mean, it's actually over 200 feet, which is really, really surprising. It really doesn't look it, but it's in a great location, right next to the beach, right next to Gatekeeper. There was no queue for it at all, and it was actually just really, really good. I mean, I can't really think of anything to really fault it by. I mean, it's a really simple design, but it works really, really well with the ride itself. It just, it's really, really well kind of thought out. Now, having said all that, the top two rides at this park should come as absolutely no surprise to anyone. That is Millennium Force, Maverick. Let's start with Millennium Force. I actually got a few interesting stuff about this ride. So I've been kind of following this ride since it was built in 2000. Really kind of looking forward to going on it. It was, I was really kind of hyped. I've been, following it, watching it, seeing hundreds of POV'S of it, and it looks just awesome. And after going on it, I went on it first thing on the second day, sat at the back, and I will be honest, I wasn't blown away. First time I rode it, I was went on it. I was like, yeah, the drop's cool, the layout seems really cool. There's a bit of airtime, but it's nothing hugely impressive. It's a little bit a little bit lacking in kind of intensity and force, and it just was a little bit meh on it. And then I went on it up the front, and that completely changed how good a ride I thought it was, because suddenly this somewhat kind of really good, but nowhere near as good as some of the other like hypercoasters I've been on, suddenly became really, really good. The first drop becomes a hell of a lot better. The turnaround's miles better. You get a lot more airtime, it appears. I mean, it might have just been because I tried to push how much of a gap there was between like the seatbelt and that bar. The more I went on it, I mean, it's just a great ride. It's probably the most perfectly positioned roller coaster I've ever been on. It's in such a glorious position, and the layout is really cool. I really like the fact it's a bit electricity. It has a couple of really good airtime hills. Has a great drop, and there's almost no queue for it at all. It's just absolutely smashing. I mean, the only thing which could better it is Maverick, and this is a roller coaster that opens in 2007, and Intamin have done an absolutely stunning job with this. I mean, it literally has absolutely everything you could really want in a roller coaster, with the exception of it's not particularly high. It's around 100 foot tall, but it has a 95-degree drop. It has a launch. It has a couple of inversions. It has airtime. As generally speaking, everything it actually has quite a lot of like kind of terrain, kind of style theming. You kind of go past a lot of rocks and kind of like kind of rock work, that sort of thing. It has water. It has like a really cool smooth layout. It has a really cool station. It will run in 6 trains. The worst things about it is I had to queue for quite a while, and the roller coaster seat was slightly uncomfortable to sit on. And you were on the break run for a little bit of time, but literally that is it. When there's a long queue and there's a continual long queue, it kind of says that ride's really good quality. That's because it is. It's one of the best rides I've ever been on, third at the minute, and it's easily the best ride at Cedar Point at this moment in time. Interesting to see what happens when the revamped Main Street, which is looking amazing, opens. Managed to get fairly close to it without being able to really explore it too much, but it looks absolutely world class. It's making me slightly jealous that I'm not going there next year, or there's very, very slim chance I'll be going there next year, I should say. Overall, though, it has a really kind of good set of roller coasters. I think Cedar Point. There's a lovely mix of roller coasters. You have several launch roller coasters. You have 5 roller coasters over 200 foot. You have a lot of world firsts. You have a lot of record breakers. There's a few disappointing roller coasters with that. There's a few roller coasters they could easily get rid of. They can easily change around. They can easily replace. And I will be honest, I think in the next few years we'll see them build a hell of a lot of world class roller coasters to come. What's also really exceptionally good about Cedar Point is the list of thrill rides they have. And the quality of these thrill rides are great. Max Air, which is like a Hush giant frisbee, actually really, really good. Not quite as good as Maelstrom and Drake Manor, but still really good. Power Tower, S&S launch / drop tower, absolutely brilliant. Really, really, really impressed with that. Then we have Skyhawk, S&S, Scream and Sing, which is very similar to Rush at Fort Park, just double the size and absolutely huge with plenty of force and power and everything you possibly want. Then we have the Windseeker, which is pretty much by Mondale and is about 301 foot, right on the edge of the beach, overlooking the lake. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous ride. There's a plethora of slightly smaller, but nevertheless kind of fun, thrill rides which can fill up the day. That's the thing with this park. You have roller coasters and you have thrill rides. You also do have a couple of water rides in St. River Falls and Thunder Canyon. Thunder Canyon, you will get absolutely soaked on unless you're incredibly lucky. And St. River Falls is okay, a bit of a soak as well. But it's definitely could be doing with a log flume, or shall we say slightly smaller water ride attraction in the future. That would probably be a good place for them to do some development. So we were discussing about their roller coasters and their throughput and stuff like that, and their capacity and all that sort of stuff in dispatches. And you may not know what that means. It pretty much means how fast you can put guests through a roller coaster at a certain time. So obviously, the more trains you have, the more seats you have, the more you kind of can get them off on time and in good kind of order. The less problems there are with operating the ride, the faster people will get on, which means people have less time to queue. And the operations, dispatches, all that sort of stuff at Cedar Point was top notch. They really did try so hard to get people on the ride in as good a time and as quickly as possible. It was really impressive. You see a ride like Top Thrill Dragster running 6 trains, Maverick 6 trains. All of that ran really, really smoothly. I was really impressed with that. It was the same with all the Cedar Fair parks, but it just worked really well. That's to go along with the fact this park is an absolutely gorgeous location. Lake Erie is pretty much either side, as Cedar Point is located on a peninsula, which has 2 roads joining it. Has to be said that it didn't look like there's the greatest number of parking ticket booths. And also there's several security entrances to get into the park. Highly recommend going for the middle one. For whatever reason, no one seems to queue for that one. They seem to just take the tour on the outside. Don't know why. They just may just not have seen it, but yeah. Make sure you have a little look there, because a little bit of time looking will save you a little bit of time getting in. Make sure you park next to something memorable. There's plenty of posts dotted around, so try and park next to one of those. I mean, it just has to be slightly wide that on really busy days that has a massive queue to get in through either of the entrance causeways. There is a second parking lot which is towards the back of the park near where Soak City is. And just a quick word of Soak City, because I haven't really mentioned anything about it. And that is actually has a really decent water. It's a really decent water park with quite possibly one of the coolest slides I've ever been on, and that is the kind of drop slides. Never experienced anything quite like it, and they were great fun. I mean, the rest of the water slides are all quite good fun and okay. I mean, I will say that the Lazy Rapids is awful. I mean, it's more of a lazy river, but it's a little bit of B on that one. It has one of the roughest dagger-esque floors I've ever seen. They really need to tarmac or concrete that, I should say. That'd be, could improve it dramatically. But overall, the water park was really, really clean. The water was lovely. There was the change rooms were really nice. It was also really good that it was literally just right outside the park entrance, and generally speaking, had no qualms at all about the water park. It's right next to, I think it's South 200. You cover pretty much underneath the coaster, which is really, really cool. There's generally, if you're there for quite a few days, it's well worth getting to the water park. So obviously, food wise, it's pretty damn decent in terms of how many food places there are. Unfortunately, quality is slightly lacking. That's probably the main downside. Some of the roller coasters being a little bit up and down or iffy is part of the course. To expect that with any theme park. Overall, the park was really clean, tidy. The staff were really good. They seemed really friendly. They seemed to be very much on it as well. They seemed to be very much attention to detail and such. The toilets, there were quite a lot of toilets dotted around, which were all good. They were fairly clean as well, which is quite good. And there was a free water refill kind of thing outside absolutely all of them, which is great. Really good top tip is fill up there. Don't wear white to see the point, by the way, as a top tip. There's because it's near water, there's quite a few bugs and insects flying around, which will ruin your white shirt. Also, it has to be noted that the area just near where the animal cap is kept, just in the area right beneath Millennium Force, is a little bit smelly and stuff like that, which obviously you have animals, kind of happens, but very surprised they actually have animals at Cedar Point. I'm not quite sure. I understand the logic for that. It seems a bit of a strange kind of add-on for a park, which has the roller coaster collection that they do. And I'm not quite sure what it is, but the Chinese place right next to Millennium Force, oddly as well, has a horrendous sweet and sour kind of smell to it. Not quite sure why. It just is really overpowering. It's really strange. Don't know why I'm bringing it up, but just feel it needs to be mentioned. Something they can possibly do with changing around. There's quite a few really cool gift shops. There's quite a lot of merchandise there as well. On my photos were available all the major rides and roller coasters and such, which is great. We had the pass, which allows us to get photos throughout the day for all the parks, which is also really cool. And we also have the dining plan, which means we managed to get to eat at quite a lot of locations. I really can't think of that many negatives to say about Cedar Point. I mean, it has a really, really cool front gate. It has, really good kind of a layout. It has, loads of staff there as well. It has, generally speaking, good weather as well over there, which means that the rides didn't just shut down whenever it starts raining sideways a little bit. It did absolutely lash it down, in fairness, when we were about to go on Maverick for the first time, so I'm not overly surprised that it shut then. But overall, it was really, really good. I mean, I am looking forward to going back. I think it's a park which will continue to improve, and I'm sure sooner or later they will actually topple Magic Mountain and have the most amount of roller coasters in the world. I mean, what a park. I mean, there's quite a few roller coaster models they still need to build, so fingers crossed they'll be getting those sooner or later. And hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Please leave your thoughts down below about Cedar Point, and comment and subscribe to more theme park information. I'll catch you guys later.